So AMD stock is up 7.95% today. And we're watching it, not only watching it, but we're actually trading it. And we entered a trade here on AMDL. So it's a 16% trade. Look how close it is to our take profit at 680 right there. I got up to 678. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set a stop loss here at about 665 on our short term. So the reason that we do that for AMDL, for example, is because when AMDL moves, it mimics AMD and it moves twice as much as AMD. So AMD had a good day today. You can see it's up about 8%, 8.04%. And we had this trade mapped out for about a 15% margin for profit. And so far, we're on track to hit it. And it's a small position. It was actually more of initial size before adding to potentially a longer term position. We already have longer term positions, but there's kind of stages to this, right? So when we were looking at this trend with AMD, kind of zoom out, there's this level, but then on the overall uptrend, there's also this level up to about $8 a share, which if it were to reach those levels would be about another 15 to 20% margin for profit. So that's kind of the moves we were watching today, and we're going to see how it does throughout the rest of the day today. But overall, we're in profit, and that's good. The other one that we were trading this morning was Oil U. So Oil U is essentially going against the it's kind of going against the fact that while tech's doing good and everything's looking good over here in AI and everything else today, we still have that Iran war happening. And with the Iran war, there could be some more conflicts. There could be some higher oil prices as a result of more friction with getting oil in and out of, the Middle East or even Iran. And what does that do? That puts oil prices up until companies find an alternative, which could be Canada. One stock we were looking at this morning was Cenovus Energy. It's an energy company. One of our stockmates pointed out that's in Canada, and they are one of the main oil producers over there. So why would we potentially trade Oil U? Well, that's what we did this morning. So we also entered a position over on Oil U, which there's Oil U, which goes up when 3x whenever the oil and gas prices go up, and then there's Oil D, which goes down. You can think of it like Oil U up, Oil D down. That goes down 3x whenever oil prices go down. So what we're looking at here is Oil U is what we're playing this morning, and it's still holding. Like right here, we kind of got in at this dip. We kind of traded it twice, so we're watching it like very closely. We got to stop there at 23.78. Right now it's at 23. Sorry, we have a stop at 23.69. Right now it's at 23.78, and we're looking for a margin of profit of 15% here. So the potential could be a 30% swing, I think, especially if we see oil prices surge. But really, we're looking at minimum 10% to get back into this swing, this trend right here. Although it broke pattern, I think that the consensus with some of the friction on oil from the result of the Iran war right now is definitely going to be a factor that could push oil prices up. In fact, I mean, according to AI, based on our analysis, you could see that they're potentially looking at oil supply to be disrupted and push oil prices above $100 a barrel. And at one point here, just 4 hours ago, according to the New York Times, they're saying oil prices could rise anywhere from $8 to $31 a barrel. And I think that's quite accurate. I think that's, when it comes to the conflict, it can be dealt with from an oil perspective fairly easy. You got OPEC. If we have increased oil production, other OPEC nations could help offset the potential supply shortages and limit the price increases. That's kind of what we're talking about with like that Canadian company, like the alternatives. But one thing we talked about was like most companies if they have increases in prices, they don't go right away. If they've been using that customer for a long time, or let's say a supplier from Iran or wherever, if the prices go up, they might not switch immediately because they've been there a while. They have that steady supply, and so when it comes to the change in direction of going to another company, that would require a pretty significant increase in prices, I think, for them to really like change to a different company. Maybe not, could be wrong, but that's how I would imagine we would see this play out. So in other words, the alternatives are going to see some potential growth, but really only if oil prices really surge, if that makes sense. So those are kind of the updates on the market today. But again, AMDL, we're following it. Couple reasons why we made this trade, which officially just pushed up into our take profit at $6.80. You can see it's up there now. So I think what we'll do is we'll add to it, and we'll lock in profits. If it changes from here, we have our stop market sell, but we will add probably triple or quadruple down on this position and look for that swing even higher, but wait for a pullback here. Why would you do that? Well, a lot of people, they cut their losers, or they let their losers ride and they cut their winners short. But we're not going to do that. We're going to double down on our winners. It's usually how we do it. So when it comes to AMD, there's the data centers, there's the AI infrastructure, there's the supplying the microchips and semiconductors for Starlink, which is a big deal. And they're providing for a huge amount of tech companies. Their revenues have been increasing. The bull cases for AMD have been on the onset for months now, almost a year. However, they've continued to sell off even though they've really doubled their earnings. So their overall trend is looking a lot better now. We're starting to see them break out above that 200-day moving average today, which is really good news. So we'll be watching them closely. If you guys ever want to see how we catch these trades, just like this one on AMDL this morning, you can always tune on in into the live trading sessions. We hold them every day at market open. And today we just wrapped up our session, super productive. If you think the events that are happening in the world right now are catalysts for people to make money, then you owe yourself to really dial in your investing right now. So if that's you, how many of you guys want to learn how to grow your accounts by focusing on AI, focusing on quantum computing, focusing on space tech, or even looking at the oil and gas industry this morning with impacts from the war, for example? Those are the types of moves we catch in Stockmate. And if you want to surround yourself with other investors and get to listen to me every day, some of you guys don't want to do that, I get it. Some of you guys want to be there at market open, and we got a huge sale there if you want to take advantage of it. Second link in the description. Would encourage you, simply just take a look at the second link below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.